and you need to go that way. Wait, is that me talking? It is. So, where do I need to go, Eric? Left or right? Does Arthur need to go that way?
Yeah. Which way?
Okay, see all the space on your left? You need to go that way.
I need to move this to the left?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little more, a little more. Alrighty, there you go. And then I'll get this way a little bit. And how are we doing, Eric? Our heads are there, and there's a lot of. Where is it? Okay, so actually, okay. What did I do? No, I don't want to go off the page, folks. This is live webcasting, and so if you're a little disappointed, we'll do better next week. We're going to do this every Friday at 6 p.m. We're going to have an entertaining guest along. And as you all know, Dr. Arthur Ciaramicoli is very entertaining. He writes book after book. They want him on the what's that show with the big Jiminy Glick. Jiminy Glick could do it. You'd love Jiminy.
They want me.
Yeah. Jiminy is a little different. He's a different kind of individual. He's, how would you say, weight challenged? Because wait, can we still be PC in this new world?
It's your show.
All right, Jiminy Glick is a weight challenged individual, and you'd love him. You'd love him because he's so different, and he is weight challenged. But I had an awful lot of stress over the election season, and voila, here's a brand new book called The Stress Solution. And this could really help me. And now I know that you call it the stress solution using empathy, cognitive behavioral therapy to reduce anxiety and develop resilience. So by understanding other people, you help yourself. Is that how I get?
By being able to read other people accurately, we don't misperceive what their intentions are or how they view us. And most of the stress is caused by misperception. In other words, you may be frowning and I think you're angry with me, and then I find out 2 minutes later you've got a headache. So cognitive distortions are the ways we misperceive. We learn early in life through our early condition, like catastrophizing, mind reading, black and white thinking, generalizing. These are all ways that we learn early in life to perceive, that allow us to misperceive other people's intentions and oftentimes misperceive ourselves as well, which causes stress.
As you're explaining this, now then I boiled it down from my perspective immediately is that if somebody thinks that you're frowning because you're angry, or appears you're frowning because you're angry, then that's the mind reading thing.
Yes.
Whereas they don't go through a set of possibilities. They just grab perhaps the first one that comes to mind, or the one they're most used to.
Yes.
And could it be driven by just regular behavior on that person's part? That this is how they perceive the world, and that one's angry and that one's mad.
Well, all hurts. If we're hurt, you were my father and you were very angry,
or
whatever it is that you experienced early in life that hurt you, and then you have a similar situation in the present that seems very similar to the situation you experienced that hurt you, whether you have old emotional pain from it. We overreact, we react quickly. Empathy teaches us to slow down. That's the magic phrase in empathy. Slow down and be able to ascertain the facts. Sympathy rushes in quickly and we identify with other people and we think we know what they're feeling. Empathy teaches us to slow down and to find out the facts. It's more objective, it's truth-oriented. So if you look like somebody to me from the past, a bully from the past, or someone who I had lots of trouble with, or a teacher who humiliated me, I may be reacting very quickly to that without realizing that you're a different human being. And I have to slow down to find out, to look beyond the surface, to find out really who you are.
It's interesting being the bully and your father and all these things. It's really interesting. And so how do you get this to people? Now we have a great book, The Stress Solution, but how do you get it to the masses outside of the book, let's say?
Well, the book is a workbook, so it allows people to go through each chapter, and there's exercises at the end of each chapter, and then there's a take action portion at the end of each chapter, which I ask people to share what they're learning with someone else, because most of this can't be unlearned alone. We're all too subjective. We need feedback from other people. And interestingly, when we produce stress, we produce the stress hormone cortisol, which takes our wide camera lens from out here to in here, and it produces black and white thinking, generalizing. It also depletes our immune system. It actually interferes with sleep. So cortisol, the stress hormone, has many negative consequences. On the other hand, when you give and receive empathy, you produce oxytocin, which is the connecting hormone. Many people call it the love hormone. It makes people feel safe and secure and more able to open up and be vulnerable and be authentic. So we learn more in those kind of relationships where we feel understood and the other person is trying, and we're trying to understand the other person as well.
What's the first step a person has to take?
Slow down. Don't react quickly. Because when we react quickly, we put old faces on new faces. When we react slowly, when we take our time, when we're more thoughtful, we read beyond the surface. We don't go make decisions based on the cover of the book. We look into the heart and soul of other human beings and find out who they are rather than assuming who they are.
Well, how do you suggest someone to, I know the empathy and so forth, but how do you actually suggest to an individual to practice this behavior?
In the book, I try to give very clear instructions about how to practice empathy on a daily basis. I mean, you and I have talked about this many times because you know I've written about empathy over the years, but we have to be disciplined to use empathy because we, especially in this fast-paced society, and especially how stressed people have been in this society. You know, the stress rates were really increasing dramatically over the last 5 years. During this presidential campaign, they've even increased more. And now with the result of the presidential election, every single person I've seen this week, every single person, and I see a fair amount of people, and I've done 3 group sessions, every person has asked me or told me about the election, asked me what I thought, and how dramatically affected they are on both sides. Because we're a divided nation, and we assume a lot of things about people on the other side. We have to learn about people on the other side. We have to learn about people that are different from us, or why do they think differently than us, and try to find the common ground. We have to do better, because we are divided and we are too stressed. 75% of Americans before the presidential race say they suffer from stress every day, psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually, every day. 50% of people in the workforce said they were waking up every night due to stress. Every night.
Over the election?
No, not over the election, just over the stress they have in their lives. We lead a very fast-paced life. We're very focused on materialism and appearance, and people have bought into this idea that you have to look better, earn more, achieve more. That's the only way you get respect and love from other people, and it's been a myth that has been taking place in our society over the last decade.
What about good deeds? Does that have any role in this?
Yes, it does, because you know we have this thing called helpers high, right? Much research has been done about people who help, because people who help are 4 times healthier than people who are only takers. So when you give to other people, again, you produce that neurotransmitter oxytocin. You produce a feel-good something inside yourself, especially when you're giving freely. Not because I'm giving to you because I'm going to call in my check later and I want something back from you, but just doing something good for someone else protects your immune system, and people who are giving tend to live longer and healthier. So it does have an effect. It has a significant effect. In fact, there is a chapter in the book on goodness and giving.
Very good. I know that some people make a, I try to do a good deed every day, let's say.
That's why you have me here.
That's a good one. So, I do, this is not my good deed, this is your good deed. So, we try, I think, a lot of us, as often as we can, to do a good deed, to give somebody something they couldn't have on their own, let's say. And it's very tough to, I think, have a day of losses. Mm-hmm. And that does happen to anyone. And then be able to jump back like that.
Yes.
So I think some people have a mantra, some people of that persuasion. What's the best for just the average person to, let's say for instance they're terabyte hard drive crashed, and they lost 4 terabytes of information. And then another program disrupted, and then another thing happened, and then 4K or 4 terabytes of data is gone, and this program doesn't work now. And then at the end of the day, you almost snap at someone.
We all have losses. We all have disappointments. People feel a profound sense of loss, I think, for people who were on the Clinton side versus Trump and so forth and so on, okay? But we have losses in daily life. People get divorced, people have illness, some people we love die, or we have unfortunate illnesses. We have to take time to talk about them. That's where the giving and receiving of empathy takes place. We need to be understood. We need to feel that other people, if you care for other people, if you truly know how to listen to other people, if you employ empathic listening, you're going to get it in return, and it allows your soul to heal. It's what I call the book Goodness Breakthroughs. When we're hurt, when we're disappointed, when we fall down, we need help from other people to come up again. And then we have a goodness breakthrough. We kind of discover the world again and see that, we can go on. And we kind of notice the good things in the world. When we're hurt and we have a sense of loss, everything seems very dire. Everything seems very bleak. But we need other people's eyes, other people's empathy to lift us up for a while. So we have to have these relationships before we have losses. When you have 4 or 5 good friends in your life, who you can trust, who really care for you, you could be stuck in Mass Pike at 2 o'clock in the morning and you could call one and they come and pick you up, then you know that you never fall down alone. You always have people around you that you can count on.
Do you have a cell phone? I'm thinking of the Pike. Yeah. After 2, forget about it, right, after 2 a.m. And how would you say, I think back to school and how teachers give you that first piece of wisdom, and then another piece of wisdom in some other endeavor. And now you just said 4 or 5 friends, and now I'll never forget the teacher that says, if you've got one good friend, it's a treasure.
Sure.
Because people are so diverse in their interests and so forth. So I'm hearing you there, and it's and some people, I've got 20 friends, and some people actually are so darn busy with friends that I think it's a kind of a rush of
well,
life.
then they turn into acquaintances and not friends, because we're going from one situation to another, and are we really having conversations of any depth, or we just have surface acquaintances where we socialize a lot and we keep running and moving fast and we don't slow down enough to really establish in-depth relationships.
Can I use that? Facebook acquaintances? Maybe it should.
Yes,
it
you can.
It should be what we all have, are Facebook acquaintances, because I look on my Facebook page and I think, who are these people? Some of them, and then we have the business Facebook and so forth. But some people are, I think, reaching out to strangers on Facebook who they don't know, because they do need friends, and it's unfortunate that sometimes you don't have enough for all the strangers.
Yes.
You do.
A human relationship creates a chemical change in our brains that sustains us, so we have to have friends. But the truth is, 15 years ago, Americans said they had 5 to 7 close friends. Today they have said we have 2. Okay. 10 years ago, the empathy rates were up. Today they're down. Narcissism is up. Self-interest is up. Get ahead at all costs is up. Prejudice is up. So there's a fear among people too. Who can I trust to be a friend? But again, in terms of your earlier point, you get what you give. If you're giving and you know how to use empathy to read people, because empathy allows us to know who to get close to and who to stay distant from.
Right. And when you give, that doesn't mean you keep giving, because some people don't know how to deal with it, with a gift. They're uncomfortable with a gift. And so I've seen that recently myself, where I did a good deed for someone, and that someone told a couple friends, who then approached me for my services, and when they found out what my services cost, I didn't hear back from them, because they thought that I was not who I was. For some reason, I don't know what they thought, but I only have so much to give.
And good, decent people understand that. They understand that you need to be paid for your services, or they understand if you do something extra for me or I for you, that's not a given, that you're going to open your hearts to everybody. You have to make a living, and decent people understand that. They expect that there's something that you have to be given if you provide a service, okay? But other people are entitled. And some people believe that they can, I get calls and I say my schedule is full. I say, well, how about Saturday? Well, I say, well, I don't work Saturdays. But do you know who referred me? Dr. So-and-so. And when you get that on the phone, you almost say, if I had time, I'm not sure I'd want to see you.
Right.
Because you're already pressuring, aggressive, and really, does that get us much in life in the end? It really only leads to a superficial kind of relating.
True. Right. Are we broadcasting, Eric? And the sound is coming through. Oh, this is some really good stuff, folks. And are we on time?
15 minutes.
What's the time?
Oh, 6:20.
6:20. Wow, not bad. We have been going for about
20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah. And it seems like we just sat down and hardly broke the surface. But we'll just interject here for a moment with we're the stress solution, because I'll tell you, talking with Dr. Ciaramicoli is always a joy. We're not closing up shop here. I just want to pause and be sure that the couple people that might be watching who need to have dinner or whatever it is and break away, that we've got this great book, The Stress Solution. It's about a lot about empathy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and if anyone knows about empathy, it's Dr. Ciaramicoli, because he's been studying it, as he's embraced it as his own way to live, and is sharing it with everybody else. Where do we go for this? Amazon?
Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and go to my website, balanceyoursuccess.com. But certainly it's on Amazon. It's on Kindle on Amazon as well.
Therapeutic tools for fighting the anxiety, fear, and depression caused by the stress. That's what it is. Stress caused by the election, caused by too many hours at work, stress by relationships. You're in that part of your relationship that might be a little stressful, and these are a lot of solutions for an individual, and thusly the people who know the individual also benefit, because Dr. C's got it all. So Power of Empathy was his first book. So this is a fantastic book. And did you bring this as a gift? Or?
It's part of my giving nature. See. Yes, you're very welcome.
Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah, and I'm looking. I want to tell them the price. It's.
It's actually on sale on Amazon today.
Today?
Yeah.
Wow. Go to Amazon right away.
It's $17 normally, but it's $11 on Amazon today. I saw, and then Kindle is even less.
Wow.
I think it's like $9.
Wow, that's fantastic.
You don't make a lot of money writing books, my friend.
Oh, great. You've ruined my future now. I thought I was going to retire and write a book. And I guess that's not going to happen. It was going to be science fiction. Anyway, but I'll tell you, this is always a gift to read your books. And wasn't there another one in between there?
Performance Addiction was one before.
Yeah, I didn't have time to read that, though. No, you get the irony?
Yes.
He's a doctor. He gets
performance addiction addicts don't have time to read the book on performance addiction. Yes, but that was the Power of Empathy was in 2000, and in 2004 was Performance Addiction, which was really a phrase that I coined to point out that Americans have come to believe that perfecting appearance and achieving status would bring love and respect. And we see where we are several years later. It's really become something that has been so emphasized: appearance, possessions, achievement, to the defeat of really focusing more on character and integrity. And
it is a great new look at what might improve you as an individual, and like I said, those around you. These are self-help books, I think. I mean, that's how I look at them.
Yes.
If you have a moment, you pick it up, read it, read about your relationships with other people, because they're in there too, and read about your relationship with the world, and how these little things could set you off. I don't know if you went into the election at all.
I did not go into the election in the book, no.
No. Okay. If you were to talk about it right now, and you don't have to, we can talk about failing marriages or whatever you want. Just,
What did you want to ask me about the election?
okay. What was your greatest takeaway from these months of interactions and the final outcome?
Well, I was saying to one of my groups this morning that, you know, because people were debating between Trump, Clinton, and so forth, and I said, and one of the women said to me, she goes, you know, we're not really here to talk about politics. Why are we talking about this? And I said, I don't think we're talking at all about politics. I think we're using these two individuals to talk about our beliefs and our values. And people learn a lot about each other through this election because, you know, I had one woman who said, actually in marital therapy, said they were arguing so much about who they were going to vote for that they both said to each other, I don't think I even know you to think that you could vote for her, and I don't even think I know you to think you could vote for him. And really this has crystallized a lot of the belief system that we have. And we have to build bridges, we have to compromise, we have to understand why we can have such extreme positions and why empathy, compassion, understanding, giving has taken such a back seat to all this slander, insulting, bullying, lack of ethics, greed. You know, this is not what we want to model in our country, and this is not what we want to teach our children. So we have work to do.
Yeah, in my own family, I have a sister who's a Democrat first, it seems. And then I have a cousin who is a Democrat first. And I have another one who is a right-wing first. And so he's the radio listener. And I've discovered that most of the right-wing speakers have the ear of the carpenter, the plasterer, the painter outside your home. They bring their talk radio with them. And they put it down and they listen to it. So I blame the media, but not my media, that media, the portable media that people have to bring with them while they work. While the rest of us actually work, they listen to right-wing radio. But that's just mine, my take on it. So now Jack doesn't talk with Jerry, unfriended him on Facebook, told me he was a bigot, never wanted to talk to him again. He said, well, why you say I'm a bigot? He said, well, because you're going to vote for a bigot. So that's why you're a bigot, and goodbye. And so, but I approached it a little bit differently. I called Jerry yesterday or the day before, and I said, hey, what do you think? You know, because I frankly was not in favor of Trump. And so we chatted, and I said, so did they call you yet for your position in the cabinet? He said, actually, yeah, I am kind of looking for a position in the cabinet. What do you think I should get? I said, well, you put forth his ideas so strongly. Maybe it should be the Minister of Truth. I think it was a George Orwell cabinet. It was the Minister of Truth. And so we had a few laughs. I said, have you heard from the others? He says, no. And I think he's saddened by it. I know I would be, for people to say, because you voted for that person, you must be that person. And I think there's a lot of, as you just brought up, a lot of misconceptions around people's belief systems.
You know, I was so happy that my publisher allowed me to write a chapter on prejudice in this book, because part of what I was saying is that when we're prejudiced, we have stress. Because if I look at you and you're the wrong color or the wrong religion, or you belong to the wrong political group, then I feel stressed. Then I release cortisol, that very damaging neurochemical. So one of the things that happens is we think we have to take a side. You know, that's the black and white, I'm right, you're wrong, good, bad, rather than saying, look, and the truth is, the people that are the least stressed and live most comfortably in their own skin can tolerate difference. They can tolerate difference. They have curiosity about difference. They can actually have a discussion about why do you believe in this and why does someone else believe in that? Why are you an atheist and why are you a conservative spiritual person from the South, and on and on. We learn from each other, and what happens when we're open to giving and receiving empathy and understanding, you find the common ground. When you get a Palestinian kid together with an Israeli kid, and we've done this in the United States, you have them live together for a month, what happens? they start to realize they both have the same longings and wants and desires. And we may have different ways of getting there. We may have some misbeliefs about getting there, and that's what this book is about. If you have misperceptions, if you base your opinions on anything but the truth about yourself or about other people, you're going to be stressed. And we all, we all grow up with biases. Everybody does. Nobody grew up in a completely objective world. But our responsibility as adults, I think, is to unlearn those biases and find out what the truth is about ourselves. Some people grow up about biases about themselves. Others have biases about other people. But we have to learn what the truth is in order to be stress-free. That's the key.
And how do you do that?
By practicing perceiving accurately, by slowing down and learning what your old records were. We all have conditioning from our childhoods, from early in life. We all listen to people tell us stories about things that aren't true. We have to re-examine them.
And you do. You heard a lot of that during the election. A lot of accusations from one side to the other, and then that side to that one. But I think you have to make up your own mind, take all of the information in, and make
you
a
have
little.
to find out the facts.
Right.
Just like if someone tells you about your neighbor, oh, she's a terrible person, or he's a terrible. How do you know that?
Right.
How do I know that you just don't say that about a lot of people? I have to know who you are to know whether you're a straight shooter and you're actually telling me the truth. And even secondarily, I'm wondering, why are you telling me about the neighbor? Why are you gossiping about this person? Some people just take it in and run with it, and then they tell the next person.
Now, you may have heard me tell this story before, but when the audio is still working, so my story will come out this time. So
this is an important story to you, huh?
Well, I think it plays to what you're saying about different experiences as a child. And when I walked down Washington Street with my grandmother, holding her hand as a 3-year-old, it was up here somewhere, and I saw the first African American I'd ever seen, and I made a fuss, and she pulled me up off the sidewalk and told me to shush. And when the man passed by, I said, what's this all about? And she says, well, that's a man with different color skin, but he's the same as we are.
Yes.
Inside.
Yes.
And I in my 3-year-old way, I said, oh, come on. I didn't really talk like that, but, oh, come on, that can't be true. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
All that difference, and it's just color? And she says, yeah, that's all. He's a man with different color skin, and that's all. He's the same as us inside. So that was a great lesson, which occasionally you have to fall back on. Sure. A lesson like that, because you have a lot of other influences in your life, but there's certain words I think I've never used, no matter what age I was. And then on the other side, now that was my lace Irish mother's mother. She was my mother's mother. On my father's side, his mother was a little more mischievous. She said some people had moved out of the second floor next door, and they owned a 2-story single-family home, my grandmother, in Dorchester. And the people in the second floor, she says, oh, some new people moved in, and I'm not comfortable with them. And I said, why is that? She says, you wouldn't believe what they do. I said, what do they do? She says, I don't know, they keep the shades down. So there's a good example of, once again, a lesson, but also someone who's already had their lesson many years ago. And I think even though you see it, I see it more, I think prejudice becoming more steel in some people and more polarizing in society. I think there was a lot more in the olden days.
Well, we've come a long way, but it's still there. And 61% of Americans said they believe race relations are poor. This is this year.
Wow.
So that's a high percentage. Was it more years ago? Probably. But still, we have a lot more work to do. And I had mentioned to you before when we had talked a few weeks ago about how I had included 10 statements by people who had in my office, because people tend to trust me after they come for a while, of things that they. Well, I can tell you one. The first one was most poignant to me, which was a fellow who's a CEO, very bright guy, 54 years old, and there was a dog barking outside my window, and he said, "Oh, you know, dogs, we had dogs in my neighborhood." He goes, "But we never went down to the black family because, you know, dogs don't like black people." And I said, "Oh, dogs don't like black people?" He goes, "Yeah, it's something about the smell." I said, "Really?" I said, "How did you learn that?" He said, "Well, my mother always told us that, you know, don't go down, take the dogs." We had 2 dogs. "Don't take them down to the corner where the black people live." So I said, "Have you ever..."
And that was out of goodness.
Yes. Well, I don't know what her motivation was, but she was trying to protect her kids, maybe, or the dogs.
Right.
But I said to him, "Have you ever been in the presence of an African American person with a dog?" He said, "Well, now you're making me feel silly." I said, "I'm not trying to make you feel silly. I'm trying to point out some of your old conditioning." I said, "I have an uncle who's an African American. We call him the dog whisperer. He has 2 dogs, and he's trained all our dogs in the family. My dogs love him, and I haven't noticed any smell." He said, "Really?" I said, "Really. But isn't it interesting? Here's a very educated person, truthfully a CEO, successful, and not a bad individual, but he grew up with this myth, okay? And through an interchange, through an empathic interchange, we're trying to understand each other, he realizes it's not true. Just like we grow up with untruths about ourselves. You think you're not athletic, you're not good looking, you're not smart, on and on and on and on, until someone in your life says, that's not true. Look at the facts. Try to look at the facts. That's what this is about, because whenever we're living with prejudices about ourselves or other people, we're stressed. When we're stressed, we produce cortisol. You produce cortisol, you produce many, many negative possibilities. It increases anxiety. It even kills neurons in the memory center of the brain. I mean, that's how detrimental it can be.
Oh, geez, I thought it was from when I fell down the stairs when I was
No,
3
no.
years old. No. So, what's the good stuff?
What's the good
well,
stuff?
You said your body produces some good chemicals. And can you get them at GNC?
If we're giving and receiving empathy, okay, if you feel right now that I'm trying to understand you, I'm making a legitimate effort, and you are to me, we are producing oxytocin in our brain. Oxytocin is a near miracle neurotransmitter. It increases security, bonding, trust. It reduces craving for addictive substances. Cortisol, the stress hormone, produces craving for sugary substances. It throws off the insulin level balance in our bodies. It actually increases fat cells, so it's one of the little known causes of weight gain.
Cortisol bad.
Cortisol bad, oxytocin good.
Okay.
And the way we relate produces oxytocin.
And it's available at GNC. No, I'm sorry. I didn't
It's
step on
available
you.
in our minds.
Yeah,
We can
that's it?
produce it.
You can't buy any?
A chapter in the book I call The Soul's Pharmacy. We can produce it ourselves once we learn how to produce it.
And you can't get that at GNC.
You cannot get, I would not recommend going to GNC to try to get that, no.
And you know, I think that a lot of people, who cares what I think, but I hear from a lot of people who swear on these vitamins and various supplements that are available to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew she had a breast cancer, but a woman the other day told me that she had mentioned that she had taken testosterone,
Mm-hmm.
and these are the great things that happen as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Then she tells me she had breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, oh, wait a minute, testosterone feeds cancer,
Yes.
and so why are they selling these
In
things?
fact, when men have prostate cancer, you take hormones to deplete testosterone.
And it makes your hair grow a little too.
But in terms of supplements, I have a chapter in the book on self-care that includes nutrition, the latest routine, the latest, most effective routines of exercise. There are supplements that are credible, but we have to know which things to read and who to pursue to ask. For instance, fish oil, the omega-3s, probably the greatest discovery in the last 20 years in nutrition. There are incredible benefits from fish oil. Most people don't take enough because they don't understand that. They take one pill. They're all 1,000 milligrams. Some of them have more water than others. But it protects the brain. It provides the substance DHA, which sends the messages between synapses in the brain. It also protects your heart. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, and on and on and on. People who have more of the omega-3s in their body tend to have less senility, less Alzheimer's. So there are benefits. taking a good multiple vitamin is a good thing to be doing without iron. But there's a lot of this information. Where can you go for the information? The Tufts Nutrition School and the UC Berkeley School of Nutrition are the two top schools of nutrition in the United States. Their newsletters are $12 or $13 a year. You get one every month. You follow that information because if they say something is really credible, they've done research for a very long time. Most of the other things on the internet are garbage.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're just trying to sell you something to make money, and there's many cancer cures on the internet that are false, unfortunately.
Right. There are ways, and they've the cancer treatments they have are pretty well tried and true. I think the traditional medicine,
Yes.
with radiation or chemo or surgery in some cases, or a combination of any of those three. And it's difficult to weed out from the internet, as we saw during this election season, fact from fiction.
Yes, and in terms of cancer, there's a correlation between stress and cancer. And even people who have cancer that are undergoing treatment, people who are highly stressed do more poorly. They don't do as well. So managing our body, knowing how to calm ourselves, knowing how to change and unlearn some of the negative things we think about ourselves and others, allows us to feel calmer inside and protect our physiology.
And which Tufts campus puts out this newsletter?
Tufts right here, yeah.
Yeah.
Tufts School of Nutrition is one of two top in the country, and UC.
And where are we, Eric?
640.
6:40. Well, we've gone over it. If we had any readers, they might have gotten a little hungry, or they've switched the station and they're trying to get your book at Amazon on sale at various prices today. And maybe they're heading over to Tufts too. Let's hope so. Let's hope that the information you shared tonight saves a life.
I hope so.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me. Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much for having me.
Imagine that if you saved a life, Are you saving that?